Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how I hang my IKEA pegboard using command strips. Now this one is a 22 inch by 22 inch from IKEA. They make a few different sizes and they make them both in a white color and a craft color. There aren't a lot of different pieces. Basically you have the pegboard piece. You also have 4 screws. And then 2 spacers. The spacers go on the bottom of the board. That's here what I'm pulling out of my left hand. That's what keeps this board flush. It doesn't sit right up against the wall. You also have this bar, and so those spacers are on the bottom, kind of keep it flush with this bar that sits at the top of the pegboard. Now you can see this kind of blemish, I guess I'll call it, right here on my pegboard. I've gotten a lot of IKEA boards. There's always something on them. I just like to inspect it and figure out where those marks or blemishes are, and then I use the opposite side. You can use either side of these pegboards, they're the same. So I always try to just hide whatever I don't like on the back. And then the back side is where then you apply your bar and your spacers. So again, this is the mark that I found on mine. I don't think I've ever had one without marks, and it's fine because you don't see them. So you've got to apply this bar on the back side. I like to put it a few slots down. The directions won't tell you any specific spot to put it. It's kind of good to think about where you are going to be hanging your buckets and such so that you don't insert the bar in a hole that you have to have to be used for your buckets. I kind of eyeballed that. I'm not too worried even if I lose the hole that the bar's in. There are lots of choices here. So I think I'm going to be fine. So you basically just take that screw and you push it through the front into the back where the bar is. And look here, you can see, you know, that bar doesn't, it's got the space between the bar and the board. When I first was looking at it, I thought maybe I was supposed to invert that, but no, you leave this space there. And then just repeat that on the other side, pushing the screw through the front to the back and screwing it through the hole. Now you will notice there's a couple of holes on the actual bar, and those are holes you would need if you were actually screwing it into the wall. It doesn't come with those screws, and I've read that in the directions. You need to get your own screws and you screw that bar into the wall. But since we're using command strips today, we won't be using those holes to get ours mounted. And that's it. So you can see I've got my bar installed. You can see I'm on the front side, you can see that white covering of the screw. It doesn't look bad or anything. Those are just holes you can no longer use with that bar along the top. So next is time to put the spacers in on the bottom. And again, this is what keeps that board flush. Otherwise, you know, it would kind of sit at an angle on the wall because that bar sits back a little bit. So once you figure out where that's going, you really apply that the same way you did the top one, where you push the screw through the front of it, and then you're going to screw that spacer onto the other side on the back of it. And you just want to make sure that you're doing that on both sides in the same spot. It really isn't in the directions, it isn't even clear, like should it be the most left, you know, hole and the most right hole. And I think you just kind of want to even them out. So I put mine pretty close to the edges. And here you can see I've kind of flipped it upside down because it's just easier for me to work that way. So this is actually the bottom and the front is on the side you don't see here, and I'm pushing it through to the back where then I'm coming in and I'm screwing that spacer on. Now, do me a favor, and if you find anything helpful in the video today, please take just a second and like the video. If you do any DIY projects, especially if you do a lot of party planning or a lot of home DIY, think about subscribing because that's the kind of videos that I do here on my channel. Okay, so I've got that first spacer, screw with the spacer installed, and now I'm getting the one on the opposite side here. And I'm just going to screw that on, and then now we're ready to get our pegboard hung. And here you see the back side of the pegboard with the bar on the top and then the 2 spacers that we put on along the bottom. These are the command strips that we're using in our project today. You can see they hold 12 pounds, and they're just great because you can remove them without causing any damage when you're finished. This container holds 12 pairs, and this is what we'll use along the bar of our project to hold that onto the wall. The first thing you need to do is just get these command strips out and separate them. So you'll see that they're perforated. You just kind of wiggle them or fold them back and forth, and they really tear apart pretty easily. So you'll want to go through, we're going to make 6 sets of these strips for our project. That means we need to cut apart or tear apart 12 pieces of these Velcro strips. Okay, so once you get your 12 pieces of command strips kind of torn apart, it's time to start putting them together to make 6 sets. So just grab any 2 and line them up. You really want them to be even, so before you start, pushing them together, make sure they're aligned. And then once you do, just really start to squeeze that command strip. You will hear it snap, so you'll know that it's fastening, because as you push down in different areas of that command strip, you will continue to hear the snap. So once you get one done, you just need to continue that until you've used all 12 of those command strips and you've made 6 sets. Before I hang my IKEA pegboard, I do want to take just a minute to make a strip just to help guide me in getting that pegboard level. So I just used a level and marked my wall with a strip of painter's tape. And from there, then I knew exactly where my IKEA board was going to go. And I took a few minutes just to clean the wall with some alcohol. You do want to take just a minute to do that, because it's so important that the command strips bond to the wall. And if you have oils or residue on your walls, you're not going to get as good of a hold from the command strips. Okay, now I'm back at my pegboard, and it's time to get my command strips adhered to the bar that's going to be on the back of my pegboard. So here you see me lining up. I can fit 6 of those command strip sets on the back, and all I need to do is just peel the strip off of the one side, either one, it doesn't matter, peel it off and press it down onto the bar. Now, what's really important as you're doing this is you are pressing on that command strip with pressure for about 30 seconds. So this process takes a few minutes because you've got 6. You need to spend 30 to 45 seconds on each one, just pressing back and forth. That's what's really helping to get the adhesive bonded to the bar. So getting these adhesives on the right way and waiting the right amount of time, that's really one of the most important steps. If you get in a hurry, you're more likely to get into a situation where your command strips don't hold and you have a crash in the middle of the night. So make sure you're taking the time to really press down on these command strips for the amount of time that you're supposed to. Now, I did decide to go ahead and put together a couple more sets of the strips to put on the back of the spacers. I'm not really sure how much help this is going to be, but I thought I might as well. They're a little long here, so I think I'm just going to trim about an inch or so off of each of these. And then once I do that, I will go ahead and pull the tab and get one of those put onto each one of these spacers. Okay, so it's time to hang our pegboard. We just need to pull the backing off of the other side of the command strip. So we're just going to work our way down the bar and then also on the spacers to pull the backing sheet off and expose the other side of the command strip adhesive. And then once we get all of the backing pulled off, we're ready to pick that board up and we'll be able to press it onto the wall in the space that we have marked. Getting the pegboard on the wall is really pretty easy because you've already marked where it's going with the painter's tape. So just get the pegboard placed as planned and then press along the bar at the top and then also press along the bottom where those spacers are. And really press left or right along that bar because you need to make sure that those command strips are really pushed into the wall. It's kind of hard because it doesn't sit flush against the wall. You've got that space in between the bar. Now, as oddly as it sounds, you've got it up and now you're actually going to take the pegboard down. And when I say that, you're separating the Velcro so that one side of the Velcro is staying on the wall and then the other side is staying on the pegboard and it's coming down with the pegboard. So as you're pulling it down, you kind of got to be looking at the pegboard, making sure you're not ripping the Velcro off of the wall. And by keeping it all, well, by putting it up this way, it gets the Velcro placed so that it exactly aligns with the board, but you couldn't really get a good press onto that side of the Velcro when the board was up. So now you've got that board down, and now you can come back and really press on each one of those Velcro tabs for 30 seconds. And remember, this is the part that you don't want to shortchange, because this is what's really getting that to bond to the wall, so that when you hang that pegboard up and start putting things into it, that it can hold. So 30 seconds at least per piece of adhesive, per command strip. And while I have this pegboard down, I go ahead and I do rub on each of the command strips again for 30 seconds, just because making sure that they're bonded is really one of the most important aspects of the command strips holding your pegboard up to the wall. You'll need to wait an hour for the command strips to really bond to the wall. So don't rush it, because that's what really helps in the end that pegboard stay up and adhere to the wall. So one thing you can do while you're waiting is you can go ahead and unscrew the bar from the pegboard. So you'll just need a flathead screwdriver to do that, because you probably have it in there a little bit tight. So get both ends of that bar unscrewed. And the reason we have to do this is because if you were just to hang the pegboard up against the wall, with that gap in between the pegboard and the bar, it's really hard to press on the actual bar. And you need to do that because you've got to get the Velcro snapped into the other side of the Velcro. So I know it might seem quicker and faster not to unscrew this bar, but believe me, if you don't do it, you just won't get the hold that you need to from the Velcro strips. So here you see I've got my bar undone. I'm coming into the wall and I'm getting it pressed onto the command strips. You want to line it up where your other command strips are on both sides, and then just take the palm of your hand once you have it lined up and just press all along that bar. And you will hear the snap. I mean, you will hear it snap as you work your way down that bar across the wall. And just keep going back and forth. I probably went back and forth 5 or 6 times, just making sure that I was fully fastened into that Velcro. Again, this is one of the most important steps. One is letting that adhesive have time to bond, and 2 is making sure you have a really good snap between the bars. So once you do that, then you're ready to screw that bar back in. Just lift up your pegboard and screw the screws back in through the front, just like you did the first time. Use a screwdriver to tighten it up. And once you do that, your board is all set and you're ready to start putting on all of the fun accessories and really using it for functional space, but also making it look super cute. I think the funnest part of the IKEA pegboard is picking out the accessories, because they make so many different options. I think the important thing is just to know, what is it that you need to put on your pegboard? How much stuff do you need to put on it? You need to be very aware of the weight of what you're putting on it, because again, we're not screwing the pegboard in, we're using the adhesive. The 22 by 22 that we have is over 4 pounds. So you've got to kind of be adding that up as you go, because if you put too much weight in your pegboard, that adhesive isn't going to hold it. So keep that in mind too. Store what you need to. Don't store extras unless you just, have the weight capacity. Like if everything you put on it is really lightweight, then you would be able to do that. But you'll see here I used a combination of some shelves. I used some containers, some little bins. I used longer hooks. I thought those would be great for like the face towel that the girls have. And then I even used some shorter hooks along the top. I wanted to do something kind of fun since we have a couple of girls sharing this pegboard. I thought it would be fun to label the shelves with their names. That way they each kind of have a row of their personal items. So I pulled the shelves off and I used my Cricut machine. That's a cutting machine for those of you unfamiliar. You can cut paper, you can cut like adhesive vinyl letters. And that's exactly what I did. I cut their name on gray adhesive vinyl because that matches their room. I think it turned out really cute. You can see their names here. I think, I kind of measured up the weight. I think I'm in the weight parameters here. I need to double check to make sure I don't have any problems. But I think it's great because they each have a space for their main personal belongings. They're just really using the vanity to get ready. They're using their desk as a place to kind of put their makeup and do their hair. So I think this should hold most of the things they actually need at the sink. Here's another example of a layout on my IKEA pegboard. I wanted to show you this because I was really excited about my DIY project from Dollar Tree, the cotton balls, cotton swabs, and cotton pads. I'll link that below. But it's a fun post. Those containers are $1 each, so it makes them great, and 3 of them fit perfectly into the IKEA tray, and they're pretty lightweight because the lids are like a plasticky thing. So anyhow, thanks for watching the video today. If you found anything useful, please take a second to like it. If you're trying to move into a new place, do some home decorating, like to bake for holidays and celebrate at parties, my blog and my YouTube channel might be a place for you, so consider subscribing. Hope you find this helpful. Please make sure that you're taking a minute to read the command strip directions. They give a lot of cautions, never hang anything valuable, things like that. So do take time, even though you watch this video, to read the command strip instructions as well. Thanks, everyone.